And we have several people on a tight schedule tonight because it's Valentine's Day, and there's meetings, and there's all kinds of other stuff going on. So Jim, do you have to start the camera, or did she already start it?
I believe it is started. Let me just make sure.
They'll edit it, I'm just trying to be thorough.
Red dot, we are recording.
We are recording. Excellent, okay. It is exactly 6:01 p.m. on Monday, and it is time to begin our Board of Selectmen meeting. Would all in attendance please stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yay. Okay. So we're doing things that just a hair out of order from normal this evening, as our town manager has to be to his Board of Selectmen meeting roughly at 6:20 p.m. On the agenda, we have revisiting the town public buildings mask mandate. I'm sure all of you remember that when we originally voted it in, we did include in the motion that we could revisit it as necessary. And with that, we have had some significant developments. Last week, according to the US CDC, infections in our country, coast to coast, dropped 44% in 1 week. Hospitalizations dropped 25% in 1 week. Remdesivir and Decadron have been available, formerly known as the President Trump cocktail that he received when he had gotten it. It's now been available to everybody. And there has been a significant drop in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Our averages have gone down considerably. Our 14-day average is now below 10% across the Commonwealth, and our 7-day average has made it below 4%, which is a great indicator, as our area is a little slow to follow behind. Nevertheless, the last 2 years, in the month of March, we have been, by late March, around 3.5% 2 years, beginning with the pandemic in 2020 and then followed again in 2021. So with that, we are revisiting the mask mandate tonight for municipal buildings. And with that, I would like to hand it over to our town manager, Justin Sulzbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first I want to thank the Board of Health for getting together tonight, for having this opportunity to discuss this matter a little bit. As you know, from time to time, positions change based on new data, and I think that's an important piece of this. And this was partly sparked by the recent announcement from Governor Baker that they'd be lifting the mask mandate, at least state mask mandate, in our schools coming up on February 28th, which in turn kind of pointed the discussion towards, well, when should we realistically lift those in town buildings? I know that originally I think we discussed if it had dropped below 5 or 4.5%.
4.5% for 2 consecutive weeks.
For 2 consecutive weeks, that would be the metric we would use. And the most important piece for me, and I think through this whole pandemic, is that it's kind of an ever-changing landscape, and I thought it was important to make sure we had some type of metric that we were using to measure when they would go on, when they would come off. That said, the circumstances have changed even in the past 6 months or so. Winchendon's a little unique, I think, in terms of its vaccination percentage compared to the rest of the Commonwealth, and that creates some unique challenges for us here. But another piece is, I think, we've provided enough time to provide people an opportunity to get vaccinated if they so choose, and that number hasn't really shifted that drastically, but the opportunity is there for people to protect themselves if they feel that's the right choice for them and their families. The other piece is that metric in terms of a positivity rate. That number, I think, is different, or looks different than it did maybe 6 months ago. Reason being the widespread use of home testing that is available now that wasn't quite as available at the time that this board had visited last. So the data that you're getting from the state is probably a little bit skewed because the numbers that are going into it to get that end number are a little bit different. And I think that kind of impacts and drives the conversation a little bit about masks in town buildings. It's not a determination that I wanted to make without input from this board, because I think your voice is obviously very important when it comes to this particular matter. And I wanted to at least have an opportunity to have a little bit of conversation and kind of take the temperature of the Board of Health before I made any determinations on behalf of the town and town buildings.
Thank you for coming forward this evening. You alluded to our board about the home kits that are available. So far to date, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts had provided everybody with a couple of home kits, as we were a large cluster identified by the DPH last fall. And then moving forward, we were fortunate enough to have the town just recently purchase 1,000 home test kits in the town. For 100 were kept aside for municipal employees and teachers, DPW, everybody of that sort, to keep our departments opening so there'd be no closures. And at the same time, the other 900 were thankfully for our residents. And we thank the town and the Board of Selectmen for going forward with that purchase. We think that was crucial to public health, or at least I can say I do. You now also have the availability, Jimmy, is it ordering up to 4 tests from the federal government online?
Correct.
That can be ordered through the USPS on their site, and also the CDC, I believe, correct, online?
Yep, and I've heard differing reports on lag time on having them delivered, so the town ordering those kits to kind of, as a stopgap, will definitely help.
I can tell you my better half works for the post office, and we haven't seen any yet. And we order them through the post office. We don't have any. Don't come to my house looking for one. But with that, you are right, Justin. There have been many breakthroughs, medical treatments, the amount of test kits available to the state, the town, and now the federal providing. As we said again, nationwide, the CDC said down 44% in 1 week infections and 25% hospital stays down in 1 week. We did, for all points of honesty and integrity, we want to emphasize, we did previously say on the original agreement, subject to change, that we would look for under 4.5% for 2 weeks in a row before we did anything, or, subject to change, being able to revisit the original motion as needed. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the members of the board. I kind of want to get their flavor. I'll start with you, Lionel, on this end. We'll let you go first.
I think we're doing real good, and hopefully we'll keep going down, and we'll do a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the last two late Marches, we were 3.5% 2 years in a row in late March. The original shutdown, we were 3.5%. Please let me correct myself, 3.5%. And also last year in 2021. Anything else, Lionel? Tina, go ahead. You're next if you'd like to chime in on this about masking, or whoever wants to go first.
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, I think we should go by the governor's recommendation.
Just like they're reducing it in schools, you mean on coming up schools, and it's also licensed child care centers also, I believe, fell under the school stipulation. So for anybody who maybe watched this who hadn't heard, but I think pretty much everybody has, the governor came out roughly February 9th with the Secretary of Education, Commissioner, Jeffrey Riley, here in Madison with DESE, and declared that they are, at this time, moving forward, they were removing a mask mandate in public schools and licensed child care facilities and leaving it up to individual municipalities, including school districts and boards of health. And they emphasized that, both the governor and Jeff Riley said, both of them, it was up to municipalities whether or not they want to do this. And that's what we're discussing this evening. Do you have anything else?
I was listening to the radio today too, and they had a lady from the one of the Boston hospitals, one of the doctors, and she said that they just started doing surgeries all over again.
Oh, elective surgeries?
Yes.
That's always a good
So
sign.
that means that to me tells me that the hospital flow is dropping. It's dropping pretty fast. Cases going into hospitals.
Yeah, that's a point I hadn't even thought of. Tina?
I think I agree. I'd like to echo kind of Lionel that we've, hopefully we are, going in the right direction and we stay that way. But I also kind of would like to note that kids are going into school vacation, which may also raise some concern with the February 28th date. I guess, you know, I'm all for lifting the, I agree, and I'm supportive of lifting the mask mandate, but I guess my concern is, you know, just the when they come back from vacation, you know, those that may have traveled or, you know, seen other, you know, gone out of state, et cetera, you know, different areas that may be in a high COVID area.
No, true.
Or so forth, you know, coming back where we'll be at. So we may need to kind of revisit that.
Absolutely.
But I think at this moment in time, you know, we are, as a whole, in the area tending to go down. And I think the cases are tending to decrease. So I think it's a good sign. So
Yep.
my only question would be, would this be across the board, or is this vaccinated versus non-vaccinated? Are those that are vaccinated only going to be lifted, or will those that are unvaccinated still be able to, you know, recommended to use their masks? Or I've kind of heard some concern or chatter on that. So I guess my question would be that, for those that are unvaccinated or for certain reasons and such.
I know my feelings
my
would be,
question.
I think it's a good question, and I think it should be across the board. I don't want to discriminate against anybody.
And if we can leave it to the individual, if they want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean-
Some may feel that,
Yeah.
sorry,
No.
not to interrupt.
James?
If I could just jump in, I think when we originally voted it too, we had the managers of each town building,
Mhm.
because, say, things like the senior center
Mhm.
would have a lot more vulnerable population than, say, you know, a police station or something like that.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking, you know, we gave them that flexibility to,
Mhm.
should they want to protect their population a little more.
Sure.
We gave them that.
Gave them the latitude.
That latitude.
And you're absolutely right, that's a great point, that places like the senior center are more subject to being immunocompromised. Absolutely, the director should have the latitude. So if there was to be any potential motion on this, which it sort of seems like the board's feelings it will be, I mean, we would want to make sure, in my humble opinion, going by what you're saying as a health agent, that we left it up to one, department heads, and two, that I would like personally to see if somebody would consider making sure, if you make a motion, that we also are positive and we leave it along the lines of, as with our fellow members potentially, that we would still, as we have been all along, recommending vaccinations if healthy enough to do so. And two, still recommending wearing a mask in town-owned buildings, a recommendation, not mandated, based on the numbers that are now trending downward across the town, the Commonwealth, and nationally. Just my humble feelings on this, and obviously up to anybody who wants to discuss it some more. Sir?
Mr. Chair, if I could just add, and to stress, I value very much the opinion of my department heads, but I would like to have consistency across town buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I think I would take input from various department heads. However, I'd like that ultimate determination to come through my office, just for the sake of consistency, so it's not, I could see frustration if a citizen goes to one town building and they're told one thing, they go to another town building, they hear something else, they go to another town building, they get another story. I think there should be some consistency across the board there.
Sure, and obviously there's a difference between coming into the town hall and then obviously a difference of entering the senior center, where we do have a lot of people who are immunocompromised, so we just want to make sure somehow we protect them in the process. We don't want them to feel like they can't go to our senior center all of a sudden because there's potentially no mask mandate, when that's the whole point of having them there, so they can be in a friendly, safe, and welcoming environment.
Understandable.
Because I think extremely highly of protecting our seniors above much. There are often cases like our youngest, the most defenseless in several categories, and I just feel we need to look out for them.
I'm in agreement. I think in those instances, people are certainly welcome to wear a mask if they choose, but I would just be really concerned about one-off departments, you know, making determinations that are strict or overly strict, and having, I guess, limiting our ability to have a consistent, cohesive policy across town buildings, excluding school buildings, obviously.
So you're feeling more as a town manager, you're kind of hoping more that we do it across the board, and then leave it up to, you're still welcome to wear a mask if you would like to.
Correct.
That's your feelings, just so I'm clear and not misunderstanding, because I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth.
I just wouldn't want to put the burden on individual department head shoulders. I think it's better if it just comes from one place.
Yeah, and again, like we said, last week, recently the CDC announced 44% cases of viral cases have dropped nationally in 1 week. Hospital stays have dropped 25% of viral cases. Again, so anybody just tuning in, when they click this on the public access channel at some point when it's uploaded, we're under 10% now on the 14-day average and under 4% on the 7-day average Commonwealth-wide. And just like the last 2 Marches, we're trending back towards that low 3% marker as we have in both the original pandemic of 2021 and the March 19 shutdown. We shut down nationwide and statewide at 3%. In March of 2021, again, we were roughly 3.5%. So, and the trend right now being that we were from 18.4 to 13.6 in 1 week, I would be extremely surprised if we weren't under the 10% marker this next coming Thursday's update. I would be surprised, to tell you the truth. Anybody else, please?
I would say, I would kind of echo the town managers, just stating that if we leave it up to the department heads, it's almost, or putting it on the department heads of having one building, wear a mask, not wear a mask, that's almost kind of just,
Confusion, yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Similar to the vaccinated, unvaccinated, that's kind of like segregating people, or I guess, you know, I think if people do want to wear a mask, and people are very sensitive to that, if they still want to, then they are more than welcome to. A lot of our older, elderly, kind of senior citizens tend to be vaccinated, so they are protected. Most of them have already had their boosters and such. I would hope that I've spoken to many, so I would think that if we do end up lifting the mask, then that would be safe to say that they would, you know, we would
Sure.
keep them healthy that way. And if
I
they,
have to agree with her, excuse me, I have to agree, it's up to the town manager as far as the public buildings go.
Yeah, and we don't want
It should be
to.
under his jurisdiction.
We don't want to seem like we're trying to usurp everybody's authority, and like Tina's talking about, we could potentially create confusion, and that these are all great points.
We don't need that confusion.
No.
We've had enough confusion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I would also like to state for the record for our board that when we instituted a town-wide public buildings mask mandate, we were very proactive, and we in the town of Winchington were one of the first in many municipal areas around it. We were one of the first to do this. We were even before the town of Athol, who has a population just slightly larger than ours and more business with more people coming into their town. We were even beat Athol on this. So we were proactive in masking up in our public buildings, despite any reports to the contrary, and the data proves it. And right now, you know, as the numbers are going down, we're looking at being proactive again on this. So I'm very proud of our board, and I'm proud of our board's input and how our board values our people in our town. Everybody is here because they care, and that's why we're all here. And that's what's important about the Board of Health, especially amongst any board. So with that, would anybody consider possibly, if there is no more discussion, if somebody wants to discuss a little more, by all means, and if there is no more, maybe think about making a motion.
I'd make a motion, but I want to make sure I put it right. I was thinking, as of March 1st, wearing masks will be, in town buildings, will be optional across the board, starting March 1st.
Actually, I was thinking maybe being more proactive and doing it right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Because on this school agenda, I looked recently, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Town Manager and Health Agent Abier, I looked at the school committee's agenda, and they already have it on there, the possibility of following the governor's recommendation on May 28th, voting on that. And I kind of think I would like to see, if the will and pleasure of the board, I would like to see us proactive and help alleviate any confusion leading into that school committee meeting, because the Board of Health does lead by example in many ways. And that's just, I'm just putting that out there as part of the discussion on this. Subject to anybody's input.
Excuse me, what's your thought on that, to do it right away?
I would maybe, for the sake of consistency, mirror the February 28th date from the governor.
Okay.
And that way it's in place, people know it's in place, and then come
Mhm.
February 28th, it will be lifted, but it's definitive.
So not now, not March 1st, but mirror the February 28th is what you kind of feel you would help your office a little better?
Just for consistency in terms of messaging.
Maybe less confusion?
Yes. Going from
Everybody's got one date?
I think February 28th is good idea.
Tina, how you feel about it?
I agree,
You like it? Eddie?
consistency.
It's fine, not with me.
It's only 3 days before your March 1st.
That's what I'm saying.
We're getting close.
Right.
Excellent, all right, so I guess it's time to amend the motion potentially there, Mr. Bond.
So it would be, wear mask in town buildings will be optional across the board starting March 28th, February
February
28th.
28th.
Yeah, and so wearing it optional, not mandatory. We want to make sure we make that clear. In that, we really want to emphasize as a Board of Health that if somebody still feels that they want to mask up, I'd like to put this out there, not that it's going in the motion, but as a Board of Health practice, if somebody feels they want to mask up, don't shame them, don't make fun of them. You don't know their health, you don't know their family circumstances. Extend the olive branch and try to be understanding of that individual's needs. And I really want to emphasize that as a Board of Health, that we need to emphasize their needs and to be understanding and patient with those around us. And if they want to mask up, in July, let them mask up in July. But if you are vaccinated and you don't want to mask up with this, then you won't have to. We just want that for clarity. So read it one more time, Mr. Bond, so they can hear it on the
I'm
speaker.
rewriting it.
Okay? (6:23), our town manager's got 7 minutes before his meeting. We're being sensitive to the dual meeting here, sir.
Thank you.
Good thing the meeting's downstairs. right?
Quick commute.
Yes.
The mask mandate in town meetings.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, so going by, Tina just brought up a good point. So by lifting this, we want to emphasize there will be no mask mandate for the public at large at the upcoming annual town meeting in May.
Providing masks are still not required in schools.
And we have, providing they're still not required in schools because it takes place in a school.
Yep.
And there's another important component here we have to remember also, subject to revision as necessary.
Right.
We can't forget that, subject to being revised as necessary. If we have an uptrend and there's some new crazy variant that spikes like Omicron, we've got to make sure we're impartial to this and willing to bend and do what we need to do as a board. I almost forgot that part, sir.
Circumstances change, things change, so.
We need to be able to change the road we're driving on if the map changes. So let us know when you're ready, sir, and we'll have you read it again. We'll have you out of here pretty quick, I suspect, sir. Considering the topic, I think we're doing good.
You've made excellent time.
Okay, would you like to read it?
Mandatory masks in all town buildings will be lifted as of February 28th. Folks that want to wear masks still can continue to wear masks if they want, and we'll monitor updates as information comes in.
And subject to revision as necessary. Subject to revision by the Board of Health as necessary.
Revisit.
By the BOH as necessary. Even though we legally have the ability to do it, we still want to make sure we provide it for clarity.
Revisit as Board of Health.
Okay, so read it aloud one more time, and then we'll look for a second.
Okay, I want to make a motion that mandatory masks in all town buildings will be lifted as of February 28th. Folks that want to continue to wear masks still can, and we'll monitor updates as information comes in, subject to revisit by the Board of Health at any given time.
As necessary. Perfect.
As necessary.
Do we have a second?
I second.
The motion has been made by member Ed Bond and seconded by member Lionel Cloutier. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll do a vote. Lionel Cloutier,
Aye.
Ed Bond, aye. Tina Santos,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. You have a go, Mr. Salzback.
Thank you very much for your input, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Thank you
For the
your time.
record, you've got 3 minutes.
I'll hustle.
You have been charged with your mission.
Thank you.
Good job, Ed.
Yes, good job, everybody. Good job, everybody. Lots of good points. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the chair's public health update. So here we go. We'll read it into record. Board of Health Chair Report, Monday, February 14th, 2022. After several weeks in the 20% plus viral positivity range, the town of Winchington has finally realized a drop for the last several consecutive weeks from an all-time high of 21.74% on January 20th to 18.4% on February 3rd, down to 13.6% on February 11th. In both the last 2 years, and beginning with the original pandemic in late March of 2020, positivity was in the 3% range was realized. At this new and current pace and decline, we are now on track for that again in March of 2022. Our 10-town area has also begun to see a rapid drop, dropping in the last several weeks from 22.53% positivity to 19.45 to last week at 14.42. Hallelujah. As a town, the Mass Department of Public Health lists Winchington as realizing 55% of its population now vaccinated, with 5,955 residents, versus 48% last October of 2021. Winchington is now also 62% partially vaccinated, with 6,705 residents per the DPH, out of a DPH listed 10,765 receiving at least one dose. Nationally, the US CDC last week announced new viral infections had dropped by a whopping 44%, and viral-related hospital stays also during that period down 25%. Locally, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts realized a 14-day positivity average under 10% and 7-day average below 4% as of today of this meeting, as a rapidly moving and highly contagious Omicron variant, which replaced the more deadly Delta variant, has dropped off almost as fast as it previously peaked. Again, hallelujah. In Massachusetts, some 5,241,000 of its 6.9 million residents have now become fully vaccinated for 76% of its population, with 88% of its population now partially vaccinated versus 76% nationally. In other news, during a February 9th press conference, it was recently announced by Governor Charles Baker and Massachusetts Commissioner of Education Jeffrey Riley that as of February 28th, DESE, the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, will allow facial covering and mask mandate to expire for both public schools and kindergarten grades K through 12 and all licensed child care providers. The Governor and Commissioner also jointly explained that if any public schools in Massachusetts feel that they need to continue their individual mask mandates, and this is key, it could be continued by either the municipality school district through the school committee or its Board of Health. And again, both the governor and Secretary of Education, both Commissioner of Education, emphasized it more than once. Lastly, the town of Winchendon held a free COVID-19 home test kit handout clinic on Saturday, February 5th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Monday, February 7th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Roughly 7 1/3 of the 9 cases were handed out, with 450 test kits on the Saturday clinic alone. A 10th case has been saved for all municipal employees to aid in keeping all town departments and offices functioning. This is on top of the 2,250 test kits previously delivered to the town of Winchendon by the Commonwealth, and each household now has the able to be ordering up to 4 additional home test kits provided by the federal government. And again, these multiple testing areas, we never had this available in 2020, obviously, as we were first confronted with this horrible virus. 2021, they were only just starting to come around into fruition, and this year having home test kits available has definitely been a game changer for many of our residents. And that is our public health update report. All those numbers, by the way, everybody, came from last Thursday's 5 p.m. update of the Mass Department of Public Health, with the national numbers being released actually today. So with that, we have meeting minutes to go over and approve if anybody has any questions. That's number 4, moving along on our agenda. And up first, we have last October 4th, 2021, provided by our recording secretary. Has everybody had a chance to review those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I haven't had a chance to read it.
You have email.
As of late, we have been working.
Am I taking that as I take that as you're going to need the other 3?
Yeah.
Other 2, I mean? We'll pause for a moment to allow Mr. Bond to review the first set of minutes.
No, it could be like for 45 minutes.
Keep in mind, this is Valentine's Day.
Mr. Chair, you have.
I'd like to keep the health agent out of trouble.
Have you read them?
Yes, I
Are
have.
they all up to snuff?
I was fine with them, but I'm only one person.
Okay, Tina, have you read them?
I have, yes.
Are they good?
Besides a couple just
Clerical?
clerical, they seem to be.
Okay, I'll go with that. I'm good.
Have you had a chance to look at the other 2?
No.
January, well, please,
I take
please
your word
do.
for it.
Okay. I don't want you to feel like you're being,
I don't do it all the time, but I do it once.
well, I don't want you to feel like you're being pushed.
Oh, I can't vote on that one.
Do you-
You were absent, okay. All right, so that's a good notation. So October 4th, so you didn't need to read it anyway, you weren't here. That makes sense, simplified, Lionel. I would have actually folded them up and mailed them to you, USPS, had I known you needed them.
Read my truck.
Well, they gotta give you a lunch break sometime.
I can make a motion to approve these. I'll do that.
All right, well, we'll start with the earliest ones first, since you have to abstain. We'll look for a motion of the member of the board to possibly approve the October minutes.
Yeah, I see them, thank you.
Want to make a motion to approve?
Oh, yes.
Accept
I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 4th, 2021 Board of Health meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made by member Lionel Cloutier, member Tina Santos, and seconded by member Lionel Cloutier to accept the October 4th, 2021 minutes as read. With that, any discussion? Hearing none. Member Santos?
Aye.
Member Cloutier?
Aye.
Member Bond? You have to say abstain.
Abstain.
Abstain, and the chair votes aye. We have 3 ayes and 1 abstain. He wasn't present. Which Deborah, thank God, noted on that, because it was so long ago.
All set to sign?
Yes, ma'am. Pass it down. Thank you, Eddie.
Make a motion on the next one.
The next one would be the January 3rd minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written for January 3rd, 2022.
Second?
A motion has been made by member Ed Bond and seconded by member Tina Santos to approve the January 3rd, 2022 minutes as submitted. Any discussion? Hearing none. Vote. Ms. Santos?
Aye.
Mr. Bond?
Aye.
Mr. Cloutier?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Today's date is the 14th, correct?
Take it down.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written for January 10th, 2022.
Motion has been made. Oh, you didn't sign it, sorry.
I'll second it.
A motion was made by member Ed Bond and seconded by member Lionel Cloutier to approve the minutes of, what was that date?
January 10th, 2022.
January 10th, 2022. With that, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will call for a vote. Ms. Santos?
Aye.
Mr. Cloutier?
Aye.
Mr. Bond?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Okay, I was just waiting for everybody to vote.
You, sir? Okay. Lionel? And the good news for our board is this actually gets us caught up on this fiscal year's minutes. Because we did not have a November meeting. So this gets us caught up, which is very nice. It's a good thing. Because I know the town clerk's looking for them. We don't want to leave her hanging, we want to make sure we get her those minutes. Okay, up next, we have Ms. Santos is holding a pile of food permits. So, I talked to the health agent earlier regarding all these food permits, and try to expedite the meeting, we were thinking about reading all the food permits, and if there aren't any problems with any of them, just making a motion to agree on them all as read at the end together, maybe to help speed the meeting up. But that's up to the members of the board to talk about if that's okay with them.
I don't see no problem with it.
Okay, Eddie, your feelings?
I'm good with that.
Tina?
Sure.
Okey dokey. So we'll let Ms. Santos go through a big stack of pile of food permits before we move on to invoices and tobacco permits later, and then we'll, when we're done, we'll just start signing them and sending them down. And we'll leave the pile at Lionel's end of the table, that way when we're signing at the end, we can expedite it by signatures. Would you like the conveyor belt thing? Because there's so many of them.
Okay. I have, the first permit is the retail food permit, which is 2174 for Choy Town Pub. There was a fee of $100 paid, and there was no violations or notes.
Excellent. Oh,
We're just gonna keep them together.
Yeah, we'll keep them together so Tina
and
can
then
sign them all
once
first, and
we-
we'll work them down. So you
Right.
leave Tina a second pile there. Because she'll be the first to sign as we move them all down.
All right, second, 2175, Snowbound Club. There was a food service permit fee paid of $100. And the only note was the back refrigerator in the kitchen was being defrosted at the time.
Is that
The
anything?
black, not back, black refrigerator.
Is that anything you've had to revisit, Jim?
No, I have not. Usually when they're out of service and defrosting,
Okay.
they can't be tested at that time, so.
Did they tell you they were gonna use it, or is it in good working condition?
They said it was fine, they were just, their normal
Okay.
defrosting.
Next one is 2176, the Noria 93 Gardner Road. Sorry, I'm trying to write as well.
Take your time, no rush.
And this is a retail food permit for a $100 fee that was paid. And the only note that was just a few products that were out of code, and those were taken care of. Next item, or next permit, 2177, which is the Winchendon School. And there was a $100 permit for food service and no violations or notes.
For anybody who's never seen the kitchen in the Winchendon School, it's absolutely beautiful.
It is. They have excellent food too.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait till we get back to the day when they can invite the public again someday.
Yes, for their community dinners.
Those were awesome.
They very gracious to have us. The next permit is 2178, Christos Place. And the $100 fee was paid. No notes or violation. Next permit, food service fee, getting a little ahead of myself. Little Anthony's Seafood. And the food permit fee of $100 was paid,
What was the number on that, please?
179.
$21.79, yeah.
Thank you.
So the $100 fee was paid, and the only note that was here was the floor in the kitchen needs repair.
James, did you give any kind of timeline on that, sir?
A work in progress.
Okay.
The
So they are addressing.
material shortage thing might
Yeah,
mess
yeah.
up a bit of a timeline, but they're,
So they'll
working
keep
on
you
it.
tuned in, obviously, and if you don't hear within a certain amount of time, I'll assume you'll just check back with them at some
Correct.
point. Okay. Yeah, there's a national material shortage on just about everything, unfortunately, so it's not a surprise.
Not on chocolate.
Let's see, 2180, the Harbor Restaurant. Their $100 food service fee was paid.
Excuse me.
So that's you.
These dust allergies are kicking my butt this winter.
And let's see, there's a few notes here, just saying that the product should be stored up off the floor in the walk-in cooler. And then the floor in the kitchen area needs additional cleaning in the hard-to-reach areas.
Tight spots.
Nothing major.
Nope, nothing major. Par for the course.
Next permit, 2201. Retail food permit fee of $100. We're holding for a check that they're gonna be sending. This is, I'm getting ahead of myself again, I'm sorry. Smith Country Cheese. The fee of $100, they will be sending in a check, and there was no notes or violations.
Jim, we can approve that, even though they didn't.
Yeah, we'll just hold on to it until
Okay.
the check comes in, then we'll bring it up.
Okay.
The next food service permit is 2202. Friends Garden. The $100 food service permit has been paid. There's note of the hood over the grill needs cleaning, and keep food covered in the coolers.
Have you been back to check on that hood, James, as I am not sure what date you originally inspected them?
I do have to go back, they have a sticker that's usually placed on the grill when it's clean, so
Mm-hmm.
it's
The
easy enough
inspection
to,
was January 20th.
it's easy enough to go back and check on.
So do we need to hold that one separately and say subject to a reinspection, or?
No,
You're
no,
gonna make sure you go?
I will.
Okay. I believe you, I just want to hear it from you.
Okay. Next food service permit, 2203, Memorial School. There is no fee because it is a town building.
Should we do that one separate, Mr. Chair? Because there's no fee.
No, the reason there's no fee is because the town would just be paying it back to the town.
Just because it's similar to like a nonprofit,
Yeah, yeah.
perhaps, I guess. There was no notes or any violations, so
You can't move the money from one pocket to the next.
Oh, no, it is Massachusetts, they do.
Next. Oh, I'm sorry. Next one, 2204, Toy Town Elementary School. Same thing, no fee. And there is no notes or any violations. We have the next one, 2205, Murdoch Middle and the high school. Again, no fee. And no notes in violation. And last but not least, 2206, Clearbrook Treatment Center. The food service fee, of $100 was paid, and no notes or violations.
James, refresh my memory, is that the old PYC school? Or is that-
Correct.
That is,
Correct.
that is it? Okay.
Formerly U Inc.
Templeton Developmental.
Templeton
I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, Templeton Developmental was a Fernco school, I apologize.
Yeah, Templeton, oh no,
Protestant youth.
the Protestant Youth Center.
It's been under so many names.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Do you just take a look at it?
Do we have
Last
one left? Isn't that the growing place?
Is someone involved in that?
Okay. No, I was gonna make a motion that we get what we got to move on.
Yep, those are all of the food service.
Do we still have growing
retail
places, or did we already read that? Because I see growing places on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
That
okay.
was on
No, no
underneath
big deal,
there.
you got
I
a whole giant
apologize.
stack of them.
No, I'm glad you said that. 2207, sorry about that. Growing Places, thank you for reminding me. It is a limited food service. They will be using the kitchen at the, the Catholic Church. And there is no fee. And so I do not have any notes for any violations.
There would be a waiver on that, right? Could nonprofit organization?
Correct, they're gonna request a waiver of the fee for nonprofit.
Okay.
So we don't make a motion on that yet then?
You can do that one separately, I guess.
They're gonna be looking to package in whole and uncut produce for distribution, light processing, traffic
With the
coverage,
Catholic
etc.
Church, it's a nonprofit.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion right now on that one.
Yeah.
And then we can put it into it.
Yeah, sure.
I'll make a motion to waive the fee on permit number 2207 for the Catholic Church.
For Growing Places to work at the Catholic Church, yep. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion been made by member Ed Bond, second by member Lionel Cloutier to waive the $100 fee, as this is a nonprofit, for waiving the fee for Growing Places to use the Catholic Church in town. That would be the one on Grove Street, James?
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. Member Lionel Cloutier?
Aye.
Ed Bond? Aye. Tina Santos?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Fee's been waived on that one.
That's it, huh?
And that is all for those, so did you wanna go through and make a motion for those?
Okay, Pete, take it.
I'll make a motion to approve the following permits as read. Permit number 2174, 2175, permit number 2176, 2178, 2179, 2180, 2201, 2202, 2203, 2204, 2205, 2206, and 2207.
You missed 2177.
I think you did, yeah, I was just gonna say.
And 2177.
Thank you.
Must have read them too.
I had two
You're not playing Keno
That's
here,
okay,
Ed. You're not playing
you're
Keno.
going over. Yeah,
Do we have a second on Mr. Bond's motion?
I make a second.
Motion has been made by member Ed Bond and seconded by member Lionel Cloutier to accept all food permits as read. Hearing any discussion? Hearing none? We shall vote. Mr. Cloutier?
Aye.
Ms. Santos?
Aye.
Mr. Bond?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Food permits pass.
We can go either way, right?
You wanna split them up, or?
No, we'll start with you, Tina. I would say just sign one and then pass it down, and we'll all sign one after the other, and we'll leave it down on Lionel's end of the table for Jimmy to carry down and get his work out.
Production line.
Then you can just leave it at the end of the table, Lionel. One big batch.
That one or two, that's two. Gee, you're going too fast.
It's not her fault.
Speedy
It's not her,
Gonzalez
it's
today.
not her fault. You can't
I'm
keep
going
up.
too slow.
I'm saying, it ain't her fault you can't keep up.
Sorry, Ed.
Okay.
Must've been a lot chocolate. Oh, that's sugar.
I'm thinking she had some chocolate before she came here.
Yeah.
Once the bag's open, you know it's right.
Oh, I had a cupcake.
So Jim, how long did they have to re-inspect that, put over that grill by chance? Would you give them for like a timeline?
I told them I'd be back over to inspect it in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Fair enough. Jim's got a little filing to do tomorrow. We haven't even got to the tobacco permits yet.
Those are mine.
Do you tell them, Jim, when you get done, I'll be back?
Those are only 9, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So those are bad.
Yep, definitely not as bad.
Did they all come in?
Yeah,
Yes.
because we'll discuss that. I ran around and helped Jimmy get them all.
Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, okay. Didn't want to rush you there because everything going on.
No, that's fine.
Oh.
You guys still signing, or do you want me to
No, we're signed.
finish? Okay,
We're
sorry
all
about that.
signed, so I guess,
All right.
so do we want to do the food permits the same way, read them all, and then vote on them together?
The tobacco and
Yeah, sorry,
everything there?
that's what I meant, tobacco permits like we did the food
Yeah,
permits?
we do the tobacco permits like the food, but
Yep.
we have a couple of invoices.
Just
Do
expedite them.
the invoices first.
Yeah, let's hit the invoices, why not? So we've got an invoice from Amazon for office supplies. I'm gonna assume that first one is by you, James. Tina, how much is that for?
$31.69.
Oh, we're breaking the bank on that one. And that's for you, Jim, to help with your supplies?
Yes.
So we have an invoice for Amazon office supplies for the health agent for reimbursement of $31.69. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion has been made to approve and pay the health agent. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by member Lionel Cloutier and seconded by member Ed Bond to reimburse the health agent in the sum of $31.69 for office supplies. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lionel Cloutier.
Aye.
Ed Bond.
Aye.
Ms. Santos.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Up next, we have a bill. Ms. Santos, I believe, is, hopefully she has from Jimmy for the recording secretary. It's been a while since we paid her. I'll let you take it, Tina.
Here is a bill for, or a invoice for Deborah Dennis, the Board of Health recording secretary for the Board of Health meeting minutes for September 1st, October 1st, 2021, December 6th, 2021, December 14th, 2021, January 3rd, 2022, January 10th, 2022, for a total of $450.
The recording secretary is owed $450 by the board for all the minutes we have now in the last couple of months approved and accepted. Would somebody like to make a motion to pay our recording secretary?
I'll make a motion to approve the recording secretary $450 for the month of January 10th, January 3rd, December 14th, December 6th, October 4th, and September 1st of 2021, all in 2021.
Can I make,
Sure.
can I open that for discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Back on our January 3rd meeting, didn't we pay her for the December 6th meeting? We paid her for September 1st, we paid her for December 6th, and we made a motion to
Oh,
pay
did we
her
get
for
an-
December 13th.
Yeah, we made a motion to pay, but I think
For
that
those three.
we didn't get an, we didn't get an invoice, Tina. We-
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
that's what happened.
Okay,
You
I'm
are correct.
sorry.
No,
My
you-
bad, my
No, you're
mistake.
correct. No, Tina, you're actually correct. We made a motion to pay, but she never gave us the bill.
I see, so this is the invoice for it,
Yes,
so we made the
yes.
motion for it, so do we just need to make a motion for the remainder then? For the remainder of them, since we've already made a motion in our previous meeting?
I don't believe she's been paid yet.
No, I don't think she
No.
has.
Do you know, Okay,
Because we hadn't.
No, we couldn't pay
So-
her because we didn't have an invoice. She's received no
so do
compensation.
we retract that motion
Well, you could put
and make a new
note.
motion
You could put a
for
note
these,
on it saying that you voted on this date for these and then vote on the rest.
right?
Yeah, if you want to make a note
Is that right?
which
Just to
one?
make it
We have to be-
kosher?
No, she's saying that the September
September
and the two December
1st,
one she's referring to, I believe.
December 6th, and the 13th, we made a motion, and we just actually approved it, those meeting minutes tonight in our meeting, so we just want to make sure
Yeah.
that,
So for
Robert's rules.
clarification, we're not paying her twice.
well, right, but I guess, yeah, we just made the motion, but I guess we just want to make sure that we make a motion tonight that,
6th,
yeah, the 4th, the 6th,
Ed, how about you retract your
and the
motion?
13th.
Why don't you retract your motion, Ed?
I'll retract that motion.
Let me make one, so we've got it, so we're all on the same page.
Well, I just want to make sure that we,
No, no.
you know, on the record that we're.
Yeah, she
we're
just didn't give us a
saying it
recording,
correctly,
she
I guess.
just didn't give us
Sorry,
an invoice. So, member Ed Bond has retracted his original motion. I would like to make a second motion for the board regarding our recording secretary bills owed for invoices. We have previously agreed upon and made a motion previously to pay September 1, 2021, December 6, 2021, and December 14th, 2021. We made a motion to pay her, but the bill has not been paid yet, as we did not receive an invoice. As we now have an invoice for all bills due, we would like to add to the invoice October 4th. We would like to add on to the invoice motion to pay the recording secretary. We would like to add the dates of October 4th, 2021, January 3rd, 2022, and January 10th, 2022. All for the standard fee that they are paid of $75 each. For the previous minutes we approved, and now the current minutes we approved, bringing the grand total invoice we now have to $450. Do we have a second?
I second.
Motion's been made by myself, member Keith Kent, and seconded by member Lionel Cloutier. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lionel,
Aye.
Ed Bond,
Aye.
Tina Santos,
Aye,
and the chair votes aye. We can now pay the recording secretary in full.
sorry if that's, I
No,
don't want to.
no, we have to be thorough.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to
Put that on the file, sir.
leave you guys.
All right, now we are moving on to tobacco permits.
Did we all sign that?
No, it just has to be signed by the chair.
Oh, okay, that's right, we already did that a while back.
You try to create more work for us?
No, no.
And you're tired, you've had a long day. Sounds like you need some sugar. Wake up a little. Need a little sugar high or something.
What do you got next?
Well, when the recording secretary is when the clerk is caught up, we have tobacco permits at her leisure.
Okay, sorry.
No, don't say sorry, you've been writing a lot of stuff. By the way, I would like to throw in, I'm thinking the first meeting in March should be short. That's the,
2 weeks
that's
away.
the upside of this. Jim, don't go looking for Title V.
Tell them it's on hold.
All right. So we have 9 tobacco and nicotine delivery product permits.
So before you read those, Tina, would it be okay if I add something here?
Sure.
So James A. Beer, as we know, with the whole pandemic as health agent, and limited hours at the time of 32 hours a week, just kept falling more behind and more behind. He has no assistant, it's just himself, and it wasn't even a 40-hour position. 2 things come into play with this permit, these tobacco permits. Ironically, 5 out of the 9 forgot to send us, God bless them, and they're running their businesses, their copies of their DOR stamp approval of payment to DOR for 3 items, which are tobacco, loose tobacco, and cigars. And 5 of the 9 businesses that we're reviewing tonight forgot to send in the copies of those DOR slips. And I offered to help the health agent get caught up and go out and collect them. And I went around and we had good success, and we got all the DOR proof of tax stamps from all 3 of these. If they sold either 2 or 3, 2 was the least, 3 was the max. And we were able to get them along with some payments to the health agent. And then Williams Package Store their check ended up being lost and never received by the health agent. So Williams, I had to go back to them and get a new application and a new check, which they were kind enough to work with us on. And we helped get the health agent all caught up on this so he could stay in the office and do his duties. So we now have 9 tobacco permits to approve with all the information in the possession of our health agent.
Excellent. Good teamwork.
Yep, teamwork.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Good job.
In one Williams Package Store, wondering where their check went.
Uh-oh.
I had to look at them like, sorry. It's in the mail somewhere. I don't know what to tell you. Take it up with the USPS.
Call the post office.
So with that, we'll hand it over to the clerk for a big stack of tobacco permits. And somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, I think we agreed to read them all and then vote on them together.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm not overstepping on that one and thinking things that didn't happen yet.
All right. So the first permit is T22-01. T22-01. It is for RAB Enterprises, Inc., DBA Gabby's Pizza. And the $150 tobacco and nicotine fee was paid for $150. And there's no documentation. They're usually like a stack downstairs, right? So
Yeah, of all their tax payment information.
right,
like
so
he
there's
was
usually
saying.
no notes or
Yep, that would be
violations
the
or
DOR
anything.
proof of
So,
tax stamps, yep.
so next one would be T22-02 for Noria 93 Gardner Road. And that was a $150 fee that was paid. Next, T2203 for Family Dollar, number 22225. And that $150 was paid.
We missed one or?
We're on number 3.
Okay, I thought you
1,
said
2, and 3.
I thought you said 22-05, that's why.
No, the store number was
Oh, okay.
2225.
Yeah, 2222, so 4 2s and a 5.
They have a lot of stores.
And that was a $150 permit fee. I mean, yes. So next one is T22-04 for One Stop Plaza Convenience 2, the Roman numeral 2. And that was $150 fee. Next, T2, it's been a long day. Me too, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
T22-05, Williams Package Store, and that was $150. Next, T22-06, Cumberland Farms, number 6672, and the fee was $150. Next up, T22-07, Mike Mart, $150 permit fee was paid. T22-08, Winchin Wine and Spirits. That $150 fee was paid. And last but not least, T22-09, Shiva Convenience, Inc.
Could you spell that, please?
Yes, I hope I didn't say,
No,
pronounce it.
no, it's just, I just want to write it down correctly, that's all.
SHIVA
Yep.
Convenience,
Okay.
Inc., DBA Gateway Convenience, Inc.
That's what I thought it was, okay.
Shiva or Shiva, I wanted to say it's Shiva, so if I pronounced it incorrectly, I apologize. And that was $150 fee.
All right, so our board clerk, Ed, you have a question?
No, I was just gonna make a motion to approve the permits as read.
I'll make a second.
No, let me read them off. I'll make a motion to approve the permits as read, T2201, T2202, T2203, T2204, T2205, T2206, T2207, T2208, and T2209.
I'll make a second.
Motion has been made by member Ed Bond and seconded by member Lionel Cloutier to approve all 9 town licensed tobacco permits as read, as all DOR tax stamp paperwork and applications, and additionally, $150 reinstatement license fees has been paid and received by the town. It has been made by Ed, seconded by Lionel. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote to approve the 9 permits. Mr. Cloutier?
Aye.
Ms. Santos?
Aye.
Mr. Bond?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And we'll sign them each and just pass them down one at a time again like we did last time. Do the conveyor belt. You got a permit conveyor belt this evening. Town will be happy. Had lots of work done tonight. Jim, you're getting a lot of paperwork. If you lose it, it's on you.
You guys gonna run out of ink?
I feel like I'm signing a mortgage. Right?
I'm getting registered.
You think you're getting writer's cramp? What do you think Tina's got?
Yeah.
She's the one doing all the writing.
So I have a quick, I guess, comment or question,
Sure,
if I may, while
Yeah.
you guys are kind of signing.
go
down
for
there.
it.
So, so while we're on the topic, I guess, on food permits and permits. So there was a few permits that we had kind of approved in the past, that were temporary slash, you know, that we were going to revisit, at previous meetings. So I guess my question would be, do you guys, Jim, how do you have a tracking sheet, or do you have a to-do list, or how do we go about knowing when they need to come and renew? Specifically, a couple that I wanted to mention, there was 2 in particular that I had, if I could. One was specifically Family Dollar, that was at our October 4th meeting. we had, I believe, gave them a temporary permit for 90 days. And I believe that was up on January 4th, which we just met. Do you know if that was renewed based on our last meeting? Or or just recently?
Did we
Or do they have to come back to
Yeah,
us
it's a
and
good question.
renew?
Did we word that as subject to your inspection? Didn't we, how did we do
Yeah,
that?
how does that go?
I don't know on the original one, but I know the last meeting that we suspended it and then we gave it back to them.
Yeah, on January 10th, after we met with the
Yeah.
owners, we did vote subject to your reinspection. You said you had re-inspected it and it passed.
Yeah, correct,
So then the board voted to reopen it.
correct.
Okay.
So,
So does that, to alleviate, I guess, any board member confusion, does that allow you to reopen it on the 10th, count as the inspection to renew their permit? How does, I guess, that's probably kind of, I'm thinking where Tina's going, you're trying to
Because we
understand
gave
how
them
it
a
works.
temporary permit,
Yeah.
correct? For
Yeah.
90-day temporary
well, I think it
permit?
was to revisit in 90 days, so I think the whole,
Which we
Okay.
did revisit on
Revisit it,
January 10th.
yeah.
I see,
Okay.
okay, so that's cleared and
Yeah.
all set
No,
then.
it's a valid
Is that
question. It's a
correct?
valid question, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought I would just follow up
Sure.
and
Yeah,
check.
it's good for clarity.
Okay, and then the other one was Camelot, which would be coming up because I think back on our September 1st meeting, we gave them a 6-month permit, a temporary meeting, 6-month stipulation that they would need to come back. It was temporary permit, they needed to come back before the Board of Health to renew once the 3-bay sink was installed and completed.
Correct.
And based on September 1st, that's coming up March 1st.
Okay.
So
And that
we
was the
won't be
place on Old
meeting.
Center, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was on Old
Yeah.
Center, where
So-
we voted as a board that they had already had 2 years due to the pandemic.
Right,
2 years, we all agreed, had gone by,
Yeah.
and then we gave them 6 months. And it was time to do something, or we're gonna have to address this.
And that's come out when, March?
March 1st.
First.
So we'll have to get
So
an
we'll
update from
meet
them.
after the fact.
Yeah,
So in other words, we need you to go there before
Yeah.
that meeting.
we'll have to get an update on
Yep.
where they stand right now.
Because after having 2 years, and the reason we had discussed the whole 2-year thing was because they did have limited clientele and limited revenue coming in.
Right.
Like, a lot of places were
Yeah.
just closed, you know, and it was just a tough time for everybody. But we did give them 6 months to get that 3-bay sink in, and 6 months, I think, and I think I speak for the board, is a generous amount of time to get a 3-bay sink put in once you get 6 months. I mean, that's a half a year's notice.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we do need to have that obviously re-inspected.
of course.
Thank you.
We'll get the update on
Yep.
the renovations and everything.
I have 2 questions that,
Shoot.
one is, didn't we make it an agreement that you could not smoke within 50 feet of a door of a building,
What kind of building?
like a package store or anything like that? You're not supposed to be smoking outside the business?
I don't remember, I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm saying I honestly don't remember it. Is there a regulation,
If it is, it would be within our tobacco regulations.
tobacco regs?
We'd have to look, and that may be under town buildings.
Because,
but I-
okay, because,
Yeah.
yeah, I see where your confusion is, because I know when you go by a couple of bars in town, they literally stand right next to the door smoking all night long. And we're just kind of curious, I mean, he's a board member, he has a right to ask.
I'm sure Joan can
Clarify it.
clarify that on.
Tobacco,
where that is.
North Worcester County Tobacco Inspector
Yes.
Joan Hamlin.
And the other thing was drinking right outside the door of a package store.
No, you're not supposed to be drinking
Yeah, that
alcohol in
would be-
public.
Now that would
Yeah,
be
I don't
like
think
an
they
open
That's a
container.
no-no.
Who do you
Correct.
see about that? Would it be the police or who?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would bring the first complaint to the police department, and I would say if you saw it and you're in your vehicle, take a picture with your phone.
Well, I brought it to the owner's attention, and he went outside and he asked the person to leave
Okay,
the property.
well, that
But
was the
I'm
right
just
thing to do,
wondering
that was the right thing to do.
Who's actually have authority for that?
It'd probably be the police with an open container violation or something like that, I would think, and
This guy
continues
come
to,
out with a nip and he goes, right outside. the
I've seen it on the bike path, I hear you loud and clear, it's on the bike path, it's everywhere unfortunately nowadays. It's tough to enforce because we have to remember, even though we want to see everything enforced, you only have like 3 to 4 officers on a shift, and if you've got, God knows, a domestic violence call or a robbery at a store, you know, a petty theft, anything, they have to prioritize how they triage this stuff.
That's why I thought, I went in and I asked the owner, because I didn't think it was right to call the police, because 2 cruisers already went flying by us with
Yeah, so they already were on their way to
tied
God
up.
knows where.
Right, but I just wanted to see exactly where it's at.
Yeah, so for tobacco, Jim, if you want, I'll ask Joan Hamlet, I'll get a hold of her down at the Athol Board of Health, since that's where we know she hangs out also with her other hat, and I'll ask her. And then as for that, I would just say, yeah. That's a tough one to enforce, Lionel. We see it all the time, we feel your pain, it's a tough one to enforce. I mean, on the bike path, I'm constantly picking up Fireball whiskey nips and beer
Oh my
cans on the
goodness.
bike path all the
I
time.
wish they would put the 5-cent deposit on those things.
Yeah, but they won't, and I agree with you, but it won't necessarily work, James, because they put the 5-cent deposit on all the bottle and beer cans. And last year, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts reported it got to keep $350 million of unclaimed deposits. $350 million in unclaimed deposits. So apparently, a lot of people would rather pay the nickel and just toss it. I don't know. It's a tough one. Anything else, anybody? No, we're looking good. We have a motion
I'll make a
to,
motion to adjourn.
we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to adjourn made by Lionel Cloutier, and we have a second by member Tina Santos. We have a health agent. It looks like he's very happy with that. And with that, we'll do a vote to, we have a motion made and a second. Vote to adjourn. Lionel,
Aye.
member Tina Santos,
Aye.
Ed Bond,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. We are adjourning at 7:22 p.m. Hold on. There you go, brother.